So the terms knitter and crocheter are not mutually exclusive. And if you're anything like me, you'll use whichever is the best tool for the job. And today that job is icords. I'm personally working on a project that requires a whole bunch of icord, so I set out to research which is the best way, fastest way, most efficient way for me to make as much icord as possible. And I've actually discovered 5 different ways that you can make icords. So whether you knit, crochet, or loom knit, one of these ways will work for you. The first method is to knit flat on single point needles. You'll cast on a small number of stitches, 3 or 4, and you can knit the first row if you'd like. Then, rather than turning your work, slip each stitch back onto the left needle knitwise. Now your working yarn is coming from the last stitch, but you'll knit into the first stitch as you normally would, and across the tiny little row. Again, slip each stitch onto the left needle and knit with the working yarn coming off the last stitch. And that's how to knit the most basic icord. As long as you never turn your work and slip your stitches after each row, it'll magically turn into a cute little icord. Now, a potentially easier way to knit an icord is with circular or double-pointed needles, and you'll see why in a sec. Again, you'll cast on a small number of stitches, and rather than slipping the stitches to get your working yarn on the last stitch, you can just slide all of your stitches to the other end of your needle. And now the working yarn position looks familiar, right? You can knit the row with that working yarn coming off of the last stitch, and that's your icord repeat. Slide the stitches to the other end of the needle and knit. A little quicker, a little easier than the first method in my opinion. But try both if you're a knitter and see which one's the easiest for you. As I mentioned, I'm not partial and I'll use whichever tool is best for the job. And in even some knitting projects, that can be a crochet hook. For this crochet method, chain a small number of chains, skip the first chain, and pull up a loop in each chain. Then remove your hook from all but the last loop. And pinch the live loops between your fingers. Then one by one pull up a new loop through each of the live loops. And repeat. You might be thinking, Michelle, this looks freaky deaky, and what if I drop all my stitches? And yeah, it does, and you might. But I found that instead of pinching the live loops flat like this, I had more success if I pinched the stitches together stacked like this. A small adjustment, but after a while I wasn't dropping stitches anymore and it got easier. And it's pretty cool that you can make an almost exact replica of the classic knit icord using just a crochet hook. So once your cord is as long as you like, to fasten off, just draw through all 4 loops on your hook, chain 1 and fasten off. But this is not the only way to crochet an I-cord. I'll show you my favorite way next. This method requires a long tail, about 3 times as long as the cord you want. Chain 1 and yarn over from the front with the tail. Then kind of pinch it with your thumb and yarn over normally with the working yarn to pull through both loops. And repeat. Yarn over from the front with the tail. Yarn over to pull through 2. I love this method of making an I-cord. It's by far the fastest, and for the right project, if you just need lots and lots of a thin little I-cord, it's a game changer. You can just keep going and going until you run out of tail. And you'll wind up with a sturdy 2 to 3 stitch sized I-cord looking thing. And another little bonus is that the bottom edge looks super finished. Since we use the tail to work the stitch, there's no end to weave in down there. Now I gotta mention there are products out there designed to make I-cords. They're called spool looms or French knitters. There's even this hand crank one called the Embellish Knit, and I've seen people get pretty creative with this one. But I thought, hey, you can make an I-cord with an I-cord maker was a little too obvious for this video. Also, I can't find my French knitter to save my life, so I'm going to demonstrate how you can also make an I-cord on a regular loom of any size. Use any method to cast on a small number of stitches. And wrap your pegs around the back and around the front like this, draping the yarn over the front of your pegs. Then you can knit. Push down your stitches and do it again, wrapping all the way around your pegs in one fell swoop. And knit. You can repeat this until your cord is almost your desired length, because after we bind off, you'll see that it looks a little wonky. And that's because we need to pull on it and stretch the stitches out. And it'll grow considerably, also evening out the stitches to make a perfect round I-cord. So there you have it, 5 ways to make an I-cord. 2 knit, 2 crochet, and 1 on the loom. And I guess a bonus 6th way if you want to grab a spool knitter. So let me know which one works the best for you. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time. Bye!